welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and I will be reviewing The Bachelor episode 7. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and you like this channel, you like this video. Comment below to let me know what you thought of this episode. I would love to have a conversation with you, and let's get into it. So we pick up where we left off with Heather coming in and interrupting Piper's date with Matt before the rose ceremony. So Heather sits down with Matt, Heather sits down with Matt and they're talking, and Heather explains why she's there, and Hannah told him what great guy he was and that they would make a really great match. And so she drove all the way down here to kind of see if it was true. And, Matt tells her, look, this is kind of a lot. You're coming in kind of late, so you're going to have to give me some time to think about that. But I trust my best friend, Hannah, and she wouldn't let me down. And I'm like, everybody's best friends now? Anyways, so Heather leaves and goes back out to the main room where all the other girls are, and they are pissed. Rightfully so. Heather, this is week 7. This is week 7. They've been here for a while. They've quarantined. They've done the whole thing, and you're coming in, interrupting their time. And some of the girls still haven't gotten the amount of time that they really wanted to get with him. So I would be pissed too. And so the girls are kind of giving it to Heather, asking her why she's here, basically telling her to go away. And Heather is like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I really like Matt, and I just want to see. I'm so sorry. And it's just like, girl, go away. Go away somewhere. Go sit down somewhere. Serena, she starts crying, and Serena's like, you know what? Go take your tears somewhere else, which that was kind of mean. But seriously, you've apologized once, you've apologized twice, and the girls are upset. Give them time. Go away. Go sit down somewhere and just stop talking. And she's like talking to production, Heather, and she's like, they're just so mean. I've just never been. They're just like so mean. I was not expecting that. Like, what were you expecting? A warm welcome? Week 7? Oh, right. And so the other girls are basically threatening to leave the show if Heather is a part of the main cast. Especially Rachel. She's like, I will leave Matt right now if he chooses Heather. It's ridiculous. So anyway, so Matt takes some time and he thinks about it, and he's outside and he's like pondering it. And then he comes back inside and he basically, tells Heather, look, if this were any other time, if this were a few weeks ago, yeah, I would say yes to trying to figure out if we have a connection, but it's just not enough time right now. Hometowns are coming up. It's just not a good time right now. And she says, okay. But she doesn't just say, okay. She doesn't just say, okay. She kind of still tries to make her case, which was a little annoying. He said, no. No means no. Go home. Anyway, so he goes back out and he basically tells the girls, yeah, I had to send her home because it would be unfair to you guys to bring someone in new at this late in the stage, this late in the game. And the women are like, oh my God, they love him even more now. And they're all juiced up now. Back to the rose ceremony. We begin the rose ceremony and he's starting to hand out the roses, and Serena, I'm gonna mess up the Serenas. I think Serena C and Chelsea. Bye. This episode, a lot of women left, actually. A lot of women left this episode voluntarily. But Chelsea and Serena, and I felt bad. I really wanted things to work out between Matt and Chelsea because he seemed so smitten with her. But I feel like with Chelsea, she was like, oh, I don't know, he's okay. But then he started to show interest in her. So then she was like, whatever. It didn't work with Chelsea. So bye, girls. Sad. I really thought Chelsea would have made it. Date card goes to, the one-on-one date card goes to Serena. The Serena that's still there. I think Serena P is her name. And she seems surprised. And this is her second one-on-one date. Her second one. I don't know if any of the other girls have had a second one-on-one just yet, but he really likes her. He's trying to figure things out. So they go on their date and they go to, it's going to be a tantric yoga session, right? And I really love the instructor's little yogi outfit. I thought that was really cute. But they're going into all of these moves, and Serena is very flexible, and so is Matt. And I'm wondering, was she, because during the stretching, she said, oh, it's been a long time since I've done this. And I'm like, I wonder if because she was so flexible, and I didn't realize how tiny her body was. Tiny itty bitty body. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was like, oh my gosh, could Matt, could I do that? Could Matt do that with my body? Or am I too big? Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah. So anyways, they're putting him in all these, sort of sexual positions, sort of, and she is not having a good time. She's not enjoying herself. She doesn't like it. Their bodies are very close proximity to each other, and it's all about breathing and connection, and it's intimate, and she doesn't like it. So anyway, they end the date, and afterward, Matt is asking Serena, so how did you like it? And she's like, I don't like it. I don't ever want to do that again. And at one point during the yoga session, they were supposed to sort of like hug each other, where their hips meet and they're hugging each other, right? And like the camera zooms in on her face, and she looks so uncomfortable. And she even says during her voiceover that she couldn't wait for it to be over. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. That's not good. This is the thing. It's been at this point, like a month and a half that they've been there, or almost a month and a half. And this is a guy that you're dating potentially for marriage, and you don't want to be close to him. You're not having sex. You're doing yoga, and you don't even want to be in poses that even simulate any sort of sexualness at all. That's a problem. And so after the date, she's explaining to him why she didn't like it. And she's basically like, I'm not really an affectionate person. So doing that kind of made me uncomfortable, especially because it's out in the public. And I'm like, well, hey, look, she didn't have to like it, right? She didn't have to like it. And if it made her uncomfortable, I'm glad that she felt comfortable enough to express that with Matt. That's important. But again, you've known this man for like a month and a half, and you're dating him, and you don't want to be in close proximity to him like that. Like, or maybe it's just because she's on TV and it looks sexual. That just seems, I don't know. Something about that seems really immature to me. I mean, she can be uncomfortable, but I'm like, I don't know. That seemed kind of immature, and it just seemed like she just didn't like him. Or maybe she just was like, oh my God, it's TV and my legs are spread open. Like, you have yoga pants on and you're anyway. And you know what? Matt takes it very well and is like, oh, I totally understand that you don't like it. For me, if I were Matt, I would take that as you not liking me, because you don't want to be close to me. That made you feel uncomfortable. I don't know how I would take that, but he took it very well and was just like, okay, I understand that. But she was just like, I don't ever want to do that again. Like, I would never do that again. I would not want to do it. And it's like, okay, we get it. We get it, Serena. You don't like it. Jeez Louise. I'm just like, was it that bad? You just don't like Matt, do you? You don't like Matt. So we cut back to the house, and Abigail's having a hard time. She's just kind of freaked out because she still hasn't had a one-on-one with Matt. And, she's just like, why am I here? Do you like me? Do you like me? But I'm like, Abigail, at this point, you're still here. So he still likes you. The end of the date and the end of the one-on-one date with Matt and Serena, and Matt gives Serena a rose. That means that she is getting a hometown next week. So she will still be here. So there's a group date, and I can't remember exactly what they did on this group date, but I do remember the conversation he had with Bree, and Bree basically tells him that, like, hey, I quit my job to be here, and it was like a good job, a job that I wanted, and I had to give my resignation because, I'm still here. It's it's been 7 weeks and I haven't been working. That's almost 2 months. You know what I mean? They have to move on. So she basically is like, I'm taking this seriously. Are you taking this seriously? Could you imagine if he was like, okay, well, you can go home right after she said, I quit my job. Matt, I don't know how Matt took that. Matt just kind of smiled. I don't know. So yeah, Abigail sits down with Matt, and at first the conversation looks like it's going well, but she basically tells him like, hey, I kind of just, I've been wanting more time with you. And I noticed that, I haven't been getting that. And I know you can't tell me too much, but can you at least tell me now if you like me, or if you still want me here, instead of like waiting? And Matt basically tells her, and I believe this when he says that, like, look, when you first got here, when I first met you, I was blown away by you, and I was so comfortable with that initial connection that we had, that I kind of I felt so comfortable with our connection that I kind of went and explored other connections, and now those connections have gotten stronger. And he, basically tells her, yeah, he's not really feeling her as much anymore, and walks her out. And that's it for Abigail, Man, it sucks so bad. Some people have been saying that Abigail might be the next Bachelorette. What do you guys think? Do you think that? Just because of her story and how sweet she is, and I'm wondering if she's the fan favorite this season. But yeah, it was sad to see her go, but I'm happy that Matt was honest with her and they had that conversation. Oh, but it was so sad what Abigail was saying in the car ride back. Once he walked her out, he put her in the car, and she basically was like, I was so sad. She was like, I'm the girl that guys date and then realize that they want something more. And I'm never good enough. I'm never what they actually want. I'm always the one that makes them realize what they truly want. And it's never me. Oh, Abigail. Oh, man. Okay, so next he talks to Rachel, blah, 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 blah. They like each other. She loves him. It's a whole thing. She feels really special. He basically tells her that, when she's not around, he's thinking about her. So it's like, you're thinking about her when you're on the dates with the other girls? Okay. I'm sure that's probably true, but don't say that. You're being filmed. So next he has this sit down with Kit, the 21-year-old whose mother is the fashion designer, right? And I feel like he was kind of condescending to her. She sat down with him and she was like, basically, look, I'm 21 and I want to do this and I want to do this and I'm not ready to get married. And if you want to be with me, you're going to have to know like all these other things about me and all these other things I want to do. I want to finish school. Like I want to do all these things. You're going to have to be okay with that. And he basically, after she's done talking, he kind of like looks at her like, are you finished? Aw, are you done? Like he looked at her like, oh, that was so cute. And then he says, yeah, I don't have a 5-year plan for this. He's like, I'm just going with the flow and whatever happens, happens basically. So thank you for telling me this, but I'm not that strict when it comes to my life or anything like that. And I'm like, basically he was like, girl, I'm not picking you. I feel like that's what he was saying. The way he was looking at her, and if I were her, I'd be like, really? Like you're looking at me like like I said something really cute or something, like I'm a kid. And I mean, you're 21 on The Bachelor, like. And someone else made a comment. I think one of my favorite YouTubers, another great reviewer is Wah. Just Call Me Wah is her YouTube channel. She's awesome. And she was saying like, yeah, why are the girls so young? Why are all the women on this season so young? Like Piper's 23. Serena's 23 as well. And I don't know, that just seems really, really young to be on the show. But we all know the show is not really to get married. It's just to be on, it's a reality show. Anyway. And then, so he ends the group date. He walks back in, ends the group date, and then walks out with Rachel. Gives Rachel the rose and walks out with her. And it's like, okay, we got something planned special for us. And I'm like, but it wasn't really that special. It was just another singer, songwriter performance. This time I know the guy, Amos, but I don't know his music. Or I guess I don't know him that well because I don't remember his name. But I know he's more popular than some of the other, or I recognize him. Let's just say that. And they're swaying to the music and it's all sweet. Blah. Later that night, Kit, the 21-year-old, comes to his house and basically is like, I can't do this. Like, I don't think I'm the one for you, and I don't think you're the one for me. And I just have so many things that I'm trying to do, and I don't know if our lives really combine and connect like that. And he's like, oh, okay, bye. She was so worried and so stressed out about having this talk with Matt. And she was like shaking and just like, I just can't do this, Matt. I'm so sorry. And he's like, all right, bye. So Kit leaves. Next day, and it's the one-on-one date with Justinia. Justinia and Matt finally have one-on-one time. And honestly, I have not seen a connection with them at all since the beginning. I think I think he wanted something to be there, but I just didn't feel anything from them. And anyway, so they go on their date, and their date is like drifting a car, like Tokyo Drift. Like drifting a car is, I don't know. You take a car and you go in a circle. That's not, what is that? That's donuts. But drifting is something different. Anyway, that's what they do on their date. And it's kind of boring. I've noticed that the dates when he doesn't like someone, he does things that are like not intimate at all. Like his dates don't include intimacy whatsoever if he doesn't like the person, I've noticed. Because it was like this for Katie. Katie had that date where they played that prank, and I was like, I don't know about that. And now this drifting thing, it just doesn't seem like you haven't had one-on-one time with this girl at all, and this is what you choose for a date. I don't. Anyway, she was super excited about it. And that was this one part where she's like, towards the end of the date, she's like, I've always wanted to do this, where she makes Matt lift her up and drop her on top of the car and they make out. And she's like, I've always wanted to do that. But as he picks her up, like, you could just tell he's not into it. And she's like screaming and giggling and doing the most. And he's like, Anyway, it was awkward. And they go on to the second half of the date. And Justinia looks great. Like, her outfits are cute. She looks great in this orange bodycon dress or whatever. And they sit. It basically looks like the same room him and Katie were in, like the week before. But they sit down to the dinner that they don't eat, and they're talking, and she basically is like pouring her heart out to him. And she's like, yeah, I think we will go really well together. Like, I don't even think she believes what she's saying. But she's like, yeah, I can't wait for you to meet my family. And like, I think I'm falling in love with you, Matt. And I'm like, how? You don't even know him. Or we haven't even seen you and him together in the same room in like a long time. What are you talking about? I think she just wanted to win. And so after that, like, she's talking, basically says, I love you. He picks up and I hate that he does this. He picks up the rose and looks at her and basically is like, you're so amazing and I like you so much, but I can't give this rose to you. Why pick up the rose? The look on Justinia's face, because he picks up the rose and she starts smiling like, oh my God, yes, I get to stay another week. And then he's like, oh, I can't give this to you though. I'm just picking it up to let you know that you're not going to get it. So I'm going to put it down now. Like, why? Why, Matt? And he's just like, yeah, we just don't have it. We just don't have that it factor. And I feel like I don't want to meet your parents and I don't feel sure about where we are. And he walks her out. And Justinia takes it well. I think she was very shocked, but she seems like a very like professional, well put together, like she seems like someone who's not going to emote like wildly about things. Like, she just seems like she's very like, I put myself together and I stay calm. But anyway, I mean, she did say she was surprised by it, but Justinia, I mean, you didn't like him either. Come on. I don't know if you were really into that. So she's gone. So wow, beginning from the beginning of the episode, you got Serena that's gone. You got Chelsea, Abigail, Kit, and now Justinia. That's 5 ladies gone. Rose ceremony time. So now we have the final. We have the rose ceremony, and he chooses all the girls except for Piper, and Piper goes home. So that's 6 girls. And the thing about Piper, and she was so hurt and she was so sad. She was so sad. I think with Piper, she's just kind of young, I think, for Matt. And I think, honestly, her being so pissed off about the Piper thing. I mean, Piper being so pissed off about Heather interrupting the date. And even when, right, I forgot to say this. So after he kicked Heather out, he came back to Piper and was like, Piper, I'm so sorry. Can we continue the date? Which I thought was cute. But she seemed still pissed. He was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, okay. He was like, can we continue the date? And she's like, okay. I don't think he liked that. Piper goes home, and in her car ride home, her little confessional, she's just like, oh, you know what? Feelings are the devil, and I shouldn't have even opened up, and that's why I don't even have feelings, because you show your feelings and you get hurt and people hurt you. And I'm like, go to therapy. It's okay I know what she's saying, but like, it's okay to have feelings, girl. And I'm sorry that you come from a family that doesn't easily express emotions or care or concern or love. But that's not the reason Matt didn't choose you. And I hope that she doesn't actually take that and like in as a real thing, But anyway, that's it. That's the end of the episode. That's the end of episode 7. What did you guys think? What did you think? Did Matt make the right choices? Who do you think is going to win this whole thing? Everyone keeps saying it's Rachel. And after this next episode, I'm not sure. But yeah, what you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you for episode 8.